So in 1985, there was this movie that came out. It was called... He knew. Look at this guy. How'd you know? How'd you know I was going that? I wasn't even born that year, and so I was kind of being thought of in that moment because I was born in 86, so I guess I was kind of around. Anyway, so 85 hits, and this movie Back to the Future comes out, right? And there's this crazy guy, and his name is Doc, right? And Doc has like wild hair, and so, y'all know what I'm talking about, skinny Doc. And there's this moment in Back to the Future 2 where he actually explains time travel. When you time travel, it works like this, right? Your normal life, and we're not time traveling, is that line. Okay, can everybody see that line? Everybody see? Good. Okay, everybody walking with me? Walking with me? But, okay, so this, just like he said, represents my past. Elizabeth asked me if I was writing today because she knows how bad I do it. So just bear with me. So this is your past, and this right here is where you're at right now, okay? There's a reason I'm going with this, okay? Y'all tracking with me? Everybody's with me? So what's the line? What's it represent? Time, our life, right? It represents our life. So this is our past, right? In this little line, it's beautifully driven and drawn. Okay, y'all are going to hire me to do artwork after this. Is right now. Okay? When Jesus comes into our life, there has to be an intersection that changes the timeline. Right? And so we can't just live the same way as we used to in the past. Because if we live in the past, then we go the wrong direction. But when Jesus comes into our life, he changes the timeline, right? The Jesus story, right, is got to change our timeline. So before I go a little farther, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to give out prizes. How many of y'all like Kit Kat bars? Anybody like Kit? Give me a break. Give me a break. All right. Finish the song. There it is, right there. Okay. No. Nice try, though. But you finished the sentence. Maybe. We'll see. How many of you keep your tree up a week past Christmas? Raise your hand if you keep your 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Is everybody gone? 3. Okay, longest time ever. The longest you've ever done your tree. How many of you have kept it up in January? Anybody kept your tree up through January? February. March. April. Why are you still raising your hand? May. Easter. Do you do that every year? How long do you keep yours up? January? July. How long? Come on. So you get the prize, right? You're definitely second place, July. And who's my third place? You said April. Here you go. You got that? Good night. Does it not get old? Y'all like, when is this thing going to leave my living room? Right? And my least favorite part of Christmas. I feel like I'm going to buy new ornaments this week. It's taking down the Christmas tree, right? How many of you, be honest, how many of you, you're like a week out, so, I know y'all, and Scott, this is going to hurt your ears, but I sing to my children. It's not beautiful. It's not pretty. But since they were young, I've sung to my children, okay? It's how we put them to bed. It's how, and to them, I don't know if it's soothing, but they go to sleep. So maybe it's they don't want to hear it anymore, so they go to sleep quicker. I don't know what the deal is. But I have found out since my son, Josiah, has been born, I told Pastor I use him too much in illustrations, that when I'd be changing him or something like a year or 2 years out, I'm singing Christmas carols into January, And my son, I remember, I guess it was after the first Christmas, he would want, when he would start to sing, when he would start, I guess at our second Christmas, he would be singing Christmas carols, and we'd be like, January. And I'm like, son, we can't sing those anymore. And I know it's weird, but it's a point that we're forced to move forward, right? When we take down the tree, when we quit singing the Christmas carols, my mom, she does this brutal thing, okay? My mom's done this my whole life. Christmas would come, right? We're so excited. We've been singing carols. We've been enjoying. Christmas comes by lunchtime, okay? On Christmas Day, every decoration in the house is gone. It's time to move forward with our lives. I don't get it, okay? Because my tree's still up, by the way. It's a point that we're forced to move forward. We have to quit reflecting, not, of the Christmas things, but dreaming again, and that takes effort. See, we love Christmas. We build up to it. How many of you, okay, now this is the great debate right here. I should have saved the Kit Kats for this. How many of you put your tree up November 1st? Anybody November 1st? Anybody before November 1st? Yeah, okay, before November 1st. October 1st. Oh, wow. Gee, October. So we put ours up the quickest we ever have this year. And Christmas goes on and on and on and on, right? And you go to the lights and you go visit things and you visit people and it continues. And so then all of a sudden there's this abrupt what? Stop. And for 2 months we've been celebrating, hopefully, the birth of Jesus, our family, all that stuff, and then it just stops. We keep singing. So my question to you today is, how has the Christmas story changed your story? The title of this sermon is So What? So what does it mean for you? So what? So what? You did the singing, you did the celebrations, you did all this. But if at some point God doesn't intersect your timeline because of what He did in a manger 2,000 years ago, so what? I'm glad you had fun with your family, but that wasn't what it was all about. I'm not going crazy on you. I'm not being religious. I'm just saying, if His story doesn't at some point intersect with your story, so what? What does that mean to your timeline? What does it mean to your current life? What does the birth of Jesus mean to you beyond yesterday? Is it just something you do once a year? Is it just something we celebrate on Christmas or Easter? Or does it change your timeline? Does it change the very fabric of who you are? And after Jesus is born, I didn't immediately go to the next thing, because the next thing is He's in the temple and his parents lost Him. That's an unfortunate story. I can imagine the God, the prayer. I saw Michael Jr. do it, the prayer from Joseph to and Mary to God, and be like, so that Savior you gave us, we kind of lost him, and so we kind of need your help right now. I can't. That's how the story goes. So we go from that to what? The baptism, and Jesus gets baptized by John in the Jordan River, and then He goes into 40 days of temptation where the devil tries Him and he goes after Him. And then what happens right after that, because we believe that, we know there was a physical sign that the Holy Spirit came on to Jesus, the dove, and God spoke over Him, and the whole Godhead's right there in that baptism moment. And we believe right after that Jesus starts His ministry begins to start with a wedding feast, right? And at a wedding feast, He turns the water into wine. But then there's this moment in between, right there at the beginning, where He starts to call others to Him. And that's where we're going to go today. So after Jesus is born, we then pick up when he is a man getting baptized for God to use him. And after that, one of the first things he does is he calls more to follow him. And it's found in Luke chapter 5. If you got your Bibles, turn them on. Or turn them on or open it up. Either one, I don't care. But Luke chapter 5, 1 through 11, and it's one of my favorite stories. And it says this: while Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, many people pushed to get near him. They wanted to hear the word of God. Jesus saw two boats on the shore, and the fishermen were not there because they were washing their nets. See, Jesus got into a boat which belonged to Simon. Jesus asked him to push it out a little way from the land. Then he sat down and he taught the people from the boat. He taught them from the boat because there were so many of them, he was getting crowded, right? Y'all can see this. This is Jesus. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Push out into the deep water, let down your nets for some fish." And Simon said to him, "Teacher, we have worked all night and we haven't caught anything, but because you told me to, I'll let the net down." When they had done this, they caught so many fish, their nets started to break. They called to their friends working in the other boat, right, to come and to help them. They came, and both boats were so full of fish that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he got down at the feet of Jesus. He said, "Go away from me, Lord, because I'm a sinful man." He and all those with him were surprised and wondered about the many fish. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, were surprised also. They were working together with Simon. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on, you will fish for men." When they came to the land with their boats, they left everything and they followed Jesus. So what now? So what now? I love this story because it's Peter. And how many of you have seen The Chosen? I think that's such a good presentation of Peter. He was a punk. Fighter, cusser, just terrible dude. I mean, he was a sailor. I mean, he was a fisherman. And they do such a good portrayal of him in there. Wanted to fight everybody. I mean, he did all the way till Jesus, right? He cut somebody's ear off. That's Peter. So what now? And the first thing I want to say to you is, so what? What does God do for you? Jesus changes the dynamic of your life. The first thing I want to say is, if you allow Jesus to come into your timeline, if you allow him to come in and move you past your past and your regrets and your unforgiveness and the things in your life, he changes the dynamics of your life. And in Luke chapter 5, verse 4, when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Push out into the deep water and let down the nets for some fish." Can I tell you, Peter was obviously naturally skeptical that a preacher was telling him how to fish. Okay, if you got this profession and you've been in this profession for your whole life, and then some guy walks up to you who has nothing to do with your profession, say, "Hey, I think you ought to do that." Something in the back of your head says, I just want to beat you up right now. This is not. What do you know? You're a preacher. See, Peter was naturally skeptical that a preacher tried to teach him how to fish for 3 reasons. Number 1, these are real reasons. When the sun came up, the fish moved to the bottom of the lake. That's why they fished at night. This is true. When the sun came up, the fish moved to the bottom of the lake. So what we're about to see is a miracle. We know it's a miracle, but God had to change the dynamics of nature to make this happen. Number 2, they fished with a heavy drag net, and they hung it over the side of the boat by 2 men, or between 2 boats, and they could not go deep with it. It can only be on the top of the water. It couldn't go all the way to the bottom. Where are the fish? At the bottom. Why? because the sun's up, right? They fish the top during the night because the fish are at the, right? Y'all are understanding this. This is a true story. This is my Bible commentary here, okay? And number 3, they had just fished all night with no results, and the prospects were now much more unlikely because number 1 and number 2, this man doesn't know what he's talking about, except he's God. So, cool story. Jesus changes the dynamics of the fish to make this miracle happen. The fish are now at the top of the water. He now catches the biggest. Listen, fish meant money, okay? Here, and let me bring this to you. Chickens mean money here. Fish mean money there, right? We don't like the smell, but it smells like money, okay? And the fish meant money. That's what it meant. Can you imagine pulling in 2 boats full of fish when that's your profession? How much money is that? A lot, right? That's a lot of money. If your boat's beginning to sink because there's so much, that's a lot of fish. Deductive reasoning, right? See, Jesus is not interested in your timeline. Jesus is a disruptor of our will, of our plans, and of our future. He has the ability to change the dynamics of life to make the path completely different. So Jesus coming, are y'all tracking with me here? Okay. So Jesus' birth story should change everything. It's not about the wise men and the shepherds. It's not about the crib that was made out of a feeding tray. Those are important. Those all had to happen prophetically, and I don't want to take away from those. But it's what happened 33 years later on a cross because of what happened in the manger that disrupted our timeline 2,000 years later. See, Jesus is not interested in your timeline. He's a disruptor. It's like John Maxwell states. He says, if we're growing, we're always going to be out of our comfort zones. You're uncomfortable? Good. You know, in my Christian faith, I always get concerned if I get comfortable. I used to say this to Sierra. Sierra's at Bible college now, but when she came into the youth group, and she'll tell you this, she was terrified to even come into the youth group. I remember making her speak over and over and over, and she made a statement one day. She said, "You've made me uncomfortable for so long that it's just normal." I said, "You're right." And Jesus does the same thing. He makes us uncomfortable for so long because he wants us to grow. God does not believe in stagnation. And I'll tell you this, another fact of life. Y'all ready for this? Truth bomb. If a plant doesn't grow, it's dying. Right? Right? I'm really good at killing them. If a plant doesn't grow, even if it stays the same, it's dying. So when Jesus comes in your life, he should transact your life so much that it changes the dynamics of the situations around you to the point he changes everything. Point number 2, so what? Jesus' existence in our lives makes us aware of what we're not, but then it shows us what we can be. Check this out. So in Luke 5:8, when Peter saw it, he got down at the feet of Jesus. He said, "Go away from me, Lord, because I'm a sinful man." See, Peter was trying to make Jesus realize that he was too much of a sinner to be around Christ. But Jesus saw Peter. Jesus saw his inadequacies. He saw his doubt. See, that thing is, when Jesus walks into the room, I think some of us are like, "Surprise, God, look what's wrong with me." He made you. He created you. He's better than Santa Claus. He knows everything. And He's not a God that wants to fly swat you. A huge misconception, and I talked about this, I think, last week. We're so concerned about, if I give this up, then I can't hang out with this crowd, and I can't do this thing anymore, and I can't do this sin anymore. You know, when Jesus walks into your life, you don't want to do that sin anymore because everything He gives you is so much greater than what you had before. He gives you peace, love, joy, He does all kinds of good things. Fruits of the Spirit, y'all should read them every day. It's amazing. It's, gifts of the Spirit. Man, Galatians 5, y'all go read that. That's what God gives you in return for your nastiness. And let me tell you something. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how little money you got. The stuff in Galatians 5 you can't buy. You can't buy peace. You can't buy joy. You can't buy any of those things. Only Jesus. So Jesus' existence, it makes us aware of our sin, not to make you feel nasty and horrible. Jesus only exposes our inadequacies so we can move towards our destinies. God is not exposing you to make you nasty. He's not pointing at you with a fly. One of the greatest truths, and I've used it here before. I don't know the last time I said it, but I'll say it over and over and over again because it just revolutionized my life. One of my mentors, Doug Withrop, he was my district youth director. He's a pastor of a church, Multiply Church in Charlotte, in Concord right now. But he made a statement one day and it just wrecked me. He said, God is not disgusted by you. He doesn't look at you and say, oh, they're sin, they're nasty people, they're terrible people. He says He hates the sin because of the separation. Jesus hates being separated from you. Is that so bad? Jesus wants to be in the room with you. He wants to be a part of the plan. He wants to give you peace. He wants to give you joy. He never looks at you. I don't care how nasty, terrible, awful you've been. I don't care what sin. I don't care if you murdered somebody. God is interested in you and not your sin. He's interested in what He can do to your timeline. Are y'all getting this? Is this just me, myself, and I? See, Jesus wants to break our past off of us so we can thrive. Listen, thrive. Some of us just survive. It's what Pastor said. Get out of hell free card. We just want to survive. If I can just get saved, if I can just barely make it, why do you want to barely make it? When God comes into your life, you walk around, there's divine interventions in your life. When Jesus walks into your life, you get to be a part of people's miracle. I could go on all day. We're so concerned about what we have to give that we're so scared. If He messes my timeline off, then I can't hold on to this unforgiveness anymore. I can't be mad at this person anymore. I can't. Listen, people. When He walks into the room, everything changes. And God doesn't want you just to exist. He wants you to thrive. Thrive. He gives us life abundantly. Not sparingly, not miserably. Some of y'all call yourself Christians. You walk around like you're in a depressed cloud. Jesus gives us life abundantly. So what? Jesus' existence in our lives makes us aware of what we're not, but it shows us what we can be. See, it's not just so we can make it through the day. God's more than making it through the day. God's about changing things, which comes to my last point that I want to say to you today. Point number 3, Jesus changes your trajectory. Luke 5:11, when they came to the land with their boats, they left everything. They left some of it? They left everything. But they just had the biggest catch of their lives. Peter's looking like, that's a new bass boat there. I can get me some really great fishing reels. I may be able to add a new fleet after this catch. And as they landed, they left everything. Isn't it like, think about it like this. I'm just having to realize that in the midst of their greatest financial success, Jesus asked them to leave. What? Judas wasn't in the picture because he'd be like, Jesus, you know how we can use that money? So I can steal it. He was like, Jesus. They left the greatest financial intake of their lives ever and followed a man they just met. Because here's the thing, Jesus changes your trajectory in life. Once he steps into your life, it doesn't matter what you go to or how hard you go towards it, you can never be the same again. You may sin, you may walk away, you may do whatever you're going to do, but in the back of your head, I don't care how awesome you think you are, or how godly, or how far you think you can get. In the back of your head, you'll never forget the moment. You'll never forget the time he intersected your timeline. You may be running from God today. But as I'm saying this right now, I'm feeling it right now. Some of you are remembering the moment. You may be a million miles from God, but you're remembering the moment. You can almost hear the voice of God speak over your life. Because once he walks in, nothing will ever satisfy you like he did. You'll try, but you'll never do it. See, this sacrifice was incredible for so many reasons. It was the greatest financial gain, but in their culture that so highly valued loyalty and family and clan, they left it all of it. They left a place they should have spent the rest of their days. Because Jesus has intersected their timeline so greatly, they can never be the same again. So for Peter, Jesus immediately changes his career. He then changes his lifestyle. And eventually, he even changes his name. Simon goes to Peter. Peter, he says to Peter one day, and on this rock I'll build my church. This goofball that he started in a boat with, that couldn't hold his tongue and couldn't quit fighting people, I'm sure. Because like I said, he cut the guy's ear off at the end. So I'm pretty convinced he was a fighter. I don't think we have to draw much attention. This guy changed everything. So what does it mean for your life? John Holcomb says this, you have to get involved to have an impact. No one was ever impressed with the win-loss record of a referee. Nobody. You got to get in the game. And Jesus changes the trajectory of your entire life.
If you responded to our message today, or if you would like prayer for a specific need, please get in contact with us using the link below. If you would like to worship through giving, you can visit our website, lakecityag.org, and click the Give button. Thanks for tuning in and have a great week.